It's been 6 years since the Red Hot Chili Peppers released their last album, and it's been 16 years since the Red Hot Chili Peppers released their last album with John Frusciante. So in 2022, last Friday, April 1st, we got the full release of Unlimited Love, their newest album, 17 songs, and I'm here to give my review, my critique, and overall analysis of what I think. I've been a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan since high school for about 10 years. So this is the very first John Frusciante Chili Peppers album that I've been able to experience and listen to for the first time right after its release. So just going to jump right into it. I mean, I first off love this album. I think it is a phenomenal album. I think it fits perfectly with the repertoire that John Frusciante and the crew have already created. So um, we first were introduced to what this album might be like with Black Summer. And I thought they couldn't have asked for a better first single than Black Summer. I don't think it's the best song on the album, definitely not. But as far as like, because they released this song, I think it was 2 months ago or something like that. It was a while before the actual release of the full album, and they released that song. I listened to it for the first time. I did a live reaction, and I think it's a great song. First off, we get a little bit of everything, right? I thought it was a perfect way to reintroduce John Frusciante to the band because we get this kind of soft, this flea bass, and then we get a little bit of just softer melodic chords from John and just some vocals from Anthony, right? And then it gets into it. He says, "Hit me now," right? And then we just get this beautiful Hendrix style chord progression from John, and I just had chills up my entire body when I'm listening to that. That was just so good, and it's so recognizable the way that John patterns his guitar playing after Jimi Hendrix. And I thought that song, we again couldn't have asked for a better opener than Black Summer. So great song, great solo, just this heavy distortion solo, and John is back, right? That is the very first thing I thought when I listened to Black Summer for the first time. So great first track. Then we have Here Ever After. And this song I was a little bit skeptical about upon first listen, but that's one of the cool things that I've really loved about this album is there's several songs, and I'll talk about them as we get more into it, that I listened to and I was like, I don't know. But after listening to it several more times, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is actually sick, right? So, and that's why I wanted to wait a little bit before I actually released or, videoed my reaction or my album review, is because like any good Chili Peppers song, sometimes it takes a couple listens to fully appreciate it and fully dissect it. And that's what Here Ever After was like for me. It gives me a little bit, we kind of have, it reminds me of Throw Away Your Television with the drums, right? Chad Smith kind of has, this throw away your television type of rhythm that he's doing during the verse. And then I also get a little bit of Other Side vibes from this song as well. And what I mean by that is simply the guitar playing, right? It's kind of just, simple single string um, rhythm type guitar as Anthony is singing the verse and then the chorus as well. But John has a great solo, and this is the my only problem with this song that I think could have made it a little bit better is there's no vocal harmonies from John on this song. And I think it would be beautiful. I think it would be great and be perfect if he added some vocal harmonies to the chorus specifically in this song. So, um, but I love the guitar. I love the drums. It's overall a great song. One of the best ones on the album, I think. Then we get into Aquatic Mouth Dance. And this song is funky as hell, right? Flea definitely carries this song. It's funky, it's groovy, and this is actually the first time on the album, song number 3, track 3, that we get to hear John singing, right? Because he's actually harmonizing with Anthony. during this song, and it sounds great, right? Um, Mostly during the chorus, but it just, I mean, that's one thing that we were missing, right? I love Josh Klinghoffer. I think I'm With You was the best thing that he's done with the Chili Peppers. The Getaway, I just, honestly, I haven't given it a fair enough chance, but there's definitely some great tracks on that one as well. But that's one thing that we miss that Josh couldn't necessarily bring to the band is John is a singer. He's a performer. If you listen to some of his solo stuff, he has an absolutely incredible voice, and him and Anthony blend so well together. So that's what I loved hearing in this song is the vocal harmonies from John and Anthony. Now, this song it is a little bit long. It could be a little bit shorter, but nevertheless, it's, I mean, it gets jazzy. We hear trumpets, we hear trombones towards the end. Um, but my only complaint about this one is it does drag a little bit. But amazing bass line, amazing vocal harmonies. It's funky, it's groovy, great song. Then we move into track 4, Not the One. And this honestly is probably my least favorite song on the album. It's chill, it's very atmospheric. It's very like, okay, like this is interesting. Um, but there's really not much guitar. This isn't a song that necessarily features any one particular band member, right? In Aquatic Mouth Dance, Flea's going off with this funky bass line. But in Not the One, it's, I mean, there's barely any guitar. It's kind of just like, these long, sustained, echoey chords, and it just doesn't do much for me. So, I mean, I know I was listening to an interview that Anthony Kiedis did when he was talking about the album, and he talked a lot about this song and how Flea initially had the verse as the chorus and the bridge as the verse, and Anthony wanted to switch it up. Um, but this one, yeah, this one really just doesn't do it for me. I think there's a lot of songs they could have recorded that would have been a better fit. Um, and this was one of the singles that they released just before the album actually dropped. And I heard this song and I was like, I really hope this isn't what the rest of the album is like. Thankfully, it's not. All right, but then we get Poster Child, track 5. And this one, again, it's very Chili Pepper-esque. It's funky. It's very lyrically fun. Lots of shout outs to different bands. I really like the line, the 70s were such a win singing to Led Zeppelin. I love Led Zeppelin, right? But again, this song, too long. It's very repetitive. Um, it's very just like, okay, we've heard something like this before, but we've heard better styles like this. I think it could probably fit in pretty well on Blood Sugar Sex Magic or Californication, but not my favorite either. So the fact that that was the second single, again, I think, I've listened to a lot of reviews as well, and people were hesitant. They're like, "Oh, yikes! Like this isn't anything fresh. This isn't anything exciting." But then we started to get into the meat and potatoes of the album, in my opinion. And it starts off with The Great Apes, track 6. And the chord progression on this song is absolutely phenomenal. The vocal harmonies are great. It's a very well put together song. It is a little bit long as well, but it's engaging. It's you don't get tired of it. I got tired of Poster Child after like the fourth verse, the third verse, whatever. But this song, it's engaging. It's very melodic, and I really think that's a solid song. It's a good addition to the track. Definitely not my favorite on the album, but this is where it's like, okay, like here we go. This sounds fun. This sounds like interesting. It's hooked me a little bit. And then we started to get into some of my favorite songs on the album, and that starts with "It's Only Natural." This is another one like Here Ever After that took me a little bit to get into, but oh my goodness, this song is so bluesy. It's absolutely beautiful, and it has an incredible bass line, right? Those were my 3 Bs I listed: bluesy, beautiful, and bass line. Because the bass line on this album or on this song, I think it's the best one on the album. I think it's the best one in over a decade by Flea. It's so funky, but it's so bluesy and groovy. It just flows so well. And then we have just these great vocals. Almost sneezed. We have these great vocals and great harmonies from John. And honestly, the Chili Peppers, I think with this song, they're breaking new ground. I don't think there's any other song that you could realistically compare It's Only Natural to. So for me, that's like, wow, it took me a little bit. I was like, wait a minute, like, they've never done anything like this before. This is like completely brand new. And so that's what I really loved about this one is it's very rhythmic, it's very bluesy, it's soulful, it sounds great. She's a Lover, track 8. It's funky, it's fun, and this is a song I feel like you could drop anywhere in Californication or Blood Sugar Sex Magic and no one would be denied, right? It's very upbeat, it's very up tempo. It's very, it just reminds you of something from Blood Sugar Sex Magic or Californication. I feel like it fits so well with the style of both those two albums, and I just think it's great. Love the song. Um, These Are the Ways, track 9. When I first heard this song, I was absolutely blown away. This, I don't care what anyone says, I will argue tooth and nail about this one. This is the best song on the album by far. I read on Apple Music that this is a song that John actually brought to the band. He brought this one and he's like, okay, Anthony, this is how I want the song to sound. This is how I want it to go. And Anthony was like, whoa, dude, like, I don't know if I can do that. So what Anthony did is he actually simplified the melody or the chorus or, whatever it was that he was having a hard time with. But this is what we got. It was absolutely incredible, right? So we start off with this like, soft kind of Chili Peppers chords, kind of Soul to Squeeze sounding like verse. And you're like, okay, this sounds good. And then we get into the chorus and it just blows you away. It's rocky, it's groovy, it's just so good. And just that chorus is phenomenal. But then after the chorus, they get into this just headbanging, rocky riff, and it's so good. And then it just transitions right back into the verse, which is the familiar Chili Peppers sound that we all love and know. So I absolutely love that song. I think it is perfect. It honestly is probably one of my top 10 favorite Chili Peppers songs now. It's so good. Again, comment, argue, state your stance. I think this is the best song on the album without a question. Um, then we get into What You Thinking. Another one that took me a little bit to get into, took me a little bit to fall in love with. But again, the bass line on the top two strings is what it starts off with in the verse. And then we get into the chorus where he goes back to a little bit more lower flea bass sounding stuff on the lower strings. But it kind of gives me a little bit of Ethiopia vibes, right? In the beginning, kind of just with that rhythm, kind of with that melodic flow lyrically. And this is another one. I feel like this one could go anywhere on By the Way or Stadium Arcadium. And just an incredible John solo with this one. And I think, honestly, if you're like me, John Frusciante is at my absolute idol. He's been my favorite guitar player since high school, since I was 14. I was a freshman in high school. And just absolutely incredible. So I love this song, right? I think, we just listed, 5 tracks that are just absolutely solid Red Hot Chili Peppers songs. And then we get into Bastards of Light, and that's track 11. It's catchy, but honestly, as I'm listening to this song, it reminds me of a country song. It's probably the closest thing that we have to a country song from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I personally hate country, but I think this song is just, I don't know. I don't particularly care for it. It's catchy, for sure. I've had it stuck in my head a couple times, and that's saying something. Um, but I mean, it's a song I'll listen to. I won't necessarily skip it, but it's definitely not my favorite on the album. So then we get into the last couple ones, and track 12 is White Braids and Pillow Chair. And I've heard a lot of people say that they don't really care for this album or this song, and that it's like, oh, it's one of the weaker ones. I personally love it. I think it's so bluesy. It's so just beautiful chords. John just goes up the neck with that chord progression in the intro, and that's the whole verse. And again, I feel like this is another one of those songs that breaks new ground for the Chili Peppers. It really doesn't sound like anything else on any other album, and that's what I absolutely love about it. So it's just chill, it's fresh. I love the chords, I love the sound. It's a great song, I think. And then we have One Way Traffic, and for this one, I wrote down in my notes, meh. I wasn't impressed with this one. It's funky, it's upbeat, it's definitely Chili Pepper-esque, but like the chorus is AO AO. That just doesn't do anything for me. I mean, that's it's like a pop song. So it's not a pop song, but it's like that's a pop song chorus. And so I didn't really care for that one either. Then we have 14. That's Veronica. And this song is phenomenal. This is probably my second or third favorite song on the album. Um, I think these are the best Anthony and John harmonies, especially on the chorus, on the entire album. It is so good. The chords are absolutely phenomenal. And we have like this kind of echoey, atmospheric guitar setting that John uses on the verse, and it's it's good. But I would almost be curious. I learned this song. This was actually the first song I learned off this album on guitar myself, and I almost like it sounding better with just like a clean, um, no effects um, setting on guitar. It sounds so good, right? It starts with I think it starts with like an A chord and then into a like an E or something like that. Absolutely beautiful song. And again, this is another one where it's like I just feel like this is breaking new ground for the Chili Peppers. I mean, they're in their 60s almost. Flea is 59, Anthony's 59, Chad is 60, John's 52. They're getting old, but they're still like breaking new ground with these kinds of songs, and that's why I think it's absolutely beautiful, because it's like nothing we've ever heard before from the Chili Peppers, but you still hear the Chili Peppers in that sound, right? And then we have Let 'Em Cry, and this one's fun. I like this song a lot. It's very bubbly. I think it fits well in the album. It's got a great solo, and it's just a fun one to listen to. I don't have very much to say about that one, but it's fun, it fits well, it's a good song. Then the track 16, we have The Heavy Wing. And this one, it starts off, you're like, okay, where is this going? When I first read an album review um, for this album, someone said that this was like their absolute favorite track. And so as I'm listening to this album through for the very first time, I knew The Heavy Wing was one of the last ones on the album. So I listened to it and I'm like, it starts off with kind of this electronic-y sound, this do 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 do, right? And then I'm like, okay, like we'll see where this goes. And then we just get this beautiful E chord, and then goes right into the verse, and then we get into the chorus, and it's John singing. John sings the chorus, and that is so cool because it sounds great, and the lyrics are very interesting. They're very engaging. I think this is probably the second best song on the album, honestly. Um, it's a lot of fun. It's really engaging. I love it. I think it's one of the better Chili Peppers songs that they've released. And then the last one, we have Tangelo. It's chill, but it's not great. It doesn't really do anything for me. So I listen to this song and I'm like, okay, like this is interesting, right? Kind of just, very laid back, very mellow, very chill, but I don't know. Doesn't really do anything for me. So overall, as an album, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I hope the Chili Peppers continue to bust out and release songs and release albums because they have so much material with John Frusciante and the band. it makes you wonder as you listen to this album, what what songs came from where. John said when he rejoined the band that he just wanted to start over. He didn't necessarily want to pick up where they left off. But you got to imagine, as they're coming up with this album and the songs that'll go into this album, that they're like, hey, what about that song that we jammed to that didn't make Stadium Arcadium, right? Um, you got to wonder how many of those songs from way back when they pulled out, or maybe they twisted. And but everyone kind of had their own songs, their own ideas from what I was listening to in interviews, and not everyone's songs made the cut. So there's definitely a lot of Chili Peppers material that we haven't heard yet that I'm really excited for, and I think this is a great um, segue into the future of the Chili Peppers, despite them almost being in their 60s. So I think there's a lot more that we can love and appreciate from the Chili Peppers. I'm really excited. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know if you agree with my critique, if you agree with my songs that I liked the most, or my analysis overall as an album. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm a huge Chili Peppers fan. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.